Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. So for today's video, we'll be talking about one of the most common bioethical issues present here on the world. So I am referring to contraception and sterilization. At the end of this video, you should be able to know the definition of sterilization and contraception, the types of contraception as well as sterilization, the methods of sterilization and contraception, the justifications or the pros and cons regarding contraception and sterilization, the Philippine law that discusses about the sterilization and contraception. We'll be able to also discuss about the application of ethical theories regarding these two issues, the contraception and sterilization, and lastly, we will be able to tackle as well the trivias or the facts regarding contraception and sterilization. Starting off, let's know the definition of contraception. Contraception or birth control prevents pregnancy by interfering with the normal process of ovulation, fertilization, and implantation. There are different kinds of birth control that act at different points in the process. So in this video, we'll be also tackling about the methods as well as the types of contraception. So please tune with that, okay? As for contraception, there are four methods of contraception. The first one is the hormonal method. The second one is the barrier method. The third one is the spermicides. And lastly, the fourth one is the intrauterine devices or the IUDs. Okay, let's discuss the hormonal method of contraception. So, hormonal method of contraception uses medication or hormones to prevent the ovulation. The example of which are birth control pills and the Depo-Provera injections. Oral contraceptive is a type of contraceptive that is taken orally, and it also has the hormone progestin and estrogen, which prevents or suppresses the ovulation process. And we also do have this Depo-Provera injections. The Depo-Provera injections is a type of injection in which has the hormone progestin, and it is also preventing the ovulation process to happen. So these two type of contraception is the hormonal method type of contraception, and let's go now to the barrier type of contraception. Barrier methods. These methods work by preventing the sperm by getting into and fertilizing the egg. These methods includes male and female condoms, diaphragm, and cervical cups. So basically, this type of methods uses barriers enable for the sperm not to go into and fertilize the egg. And just to give you a good to know information, male condom is the only barrier method or the type of contraceptive that could prevent us from getting immunodeficiency virus and the STDs or sexually transmitted diseases. Discuss now the spermicide. Spermicide is a type of medication in which kills sperms on the contact. Spermicide comes with different forms such as the jelly foam, tablets, and even a transparent film that could be put in the vagina, enable for it to kill the sperm on contact. So, spermicide works best when used with barrier methods such as condom, diaphragm, and the cervical cup. Let's now discuss the last method of contraceptive, which is the IUD or the intrauterine devices. An IUD is a tiny device that's put into the uterus to prevent pregnancy. It's a long-term, reversible, and one of the most effective type of birth control methods out here. So there are two types of IUDs, which is the copper and the hormonal. So the difference between these two is the copper IUD has the copper in it. So the sperm cells, just a good to know information, do not want copper. So they go into the different direction, and most likely after that they will not be able to go to the fertilized egg. The next one is the hormonal IUDs. From the word itself, hormonal, it has hormones in it, and most likely it is the hormone progestin. So the progestin, as I said a while ago, it is a type of hormone in which it thickens the mucus on the cervix, in which it prevents the sperm not to come into the fertilized egg. So most likely the effect of this IUD is from 1 to 10 years. So it prevents pregnancy from 1 to 10 years. But just a good to know information as well, the copper IUD could prevent pregnancy up to 12 years. Already done discussing the methods as well as the definition of contraception. Let's go ahead and discuss now the definition and the methods of sterilization. The definition of sterilization is easy. Sterilization is a permanent form of birth control that is extremely effective at preventing pregnancy. So there are two methods that I'll be discussing for you today. So the first one is the tubal ligation, and the next one is the vasectomy. I'll be discussing to you the first method that is used in sterilization, and this method is for women only. So the first one that I'll be discussing is the tubal ligation. This medical procedure is a permanent form of sterilization or contraception for women. So each fallopian tube is either tied or burned closed. So the sperm cannot reach the egg, and moreover, the egg cannot travel to the uterus. There are three types of tubal ligation. The first one is the cauterized, the second one is tied and cut, and lastly, the third one is the banded. So the first type of tubal ligation is the cauterized. So the cauterized is a type of tubal ligation in which a part of fallopian tube was cut, and after that, the sides of the two sides that was cut was burned, enable for the fertilized eggs not to travel in the uterus. The next one is the tied and cut. So from the word itself, at first it was tied. There are two parts of the fallopian tube was tied, and after that it was cut in the middle, enable for it to have a barrier in which the fertilized egg could not travel now to the uterus. And the last one is the banded, from the word itself as well, banded. So there is a silicone ring that was used, enable for the fertilized egg not to travel in the uterus. So the last method, or the another method of sterilization, and it is for male only, is the vasectomy. So this medical procedure is the male form of sterilization and should be considered permanent. In vasectomy, the vas deferens, or the tiny tubes that carry the sperm into the semen, are cut and tied off. So it is a type of permanent sterilization for men, unlike for the women. In the tubal ligation process, on the cauterized type of tubal ligation, the burnt part of the fallopian tube could grow, and eventually it will be able to be connected, and the fertilized eggs could now travel again to the uterus. Unlike this one, the vasectomy, it is a type of permanent. It was a type of permanent sterilization in which once the vas deferens, or the tiny tube that carried the sperm into the semen, was cut, it could not really produce semen which contains the sperm cell that is essential for the pregnancy. Now done discussing the methods and the definition of contraception and sterilization. At this juncture, we'll be able to discuss now the pros and cons of sterilization and contraception.
Consequences of using contraceptives. Contraceptives such as pills can slightly increase your risk of problems such as heart attack, stroke, blood clots, and liver tumors. Contraceptives which require a minor surgery such as hormonal implant will cost you a big amount of money. It may also cause side effects to a woman such as irregular menstruation, depression, hair loss, weight gain, or worse, you could get infection in the area where the rod is being implemented. All in all, through the use of contraception, it will always be in the woman's body that there will be changes that are expected to occur. Justification or pros with the use of contraception. Research indicates that family planning, including planning, delaying, and spacing pregnancies, is linked to improved birth outcomes for babies, either or directly through healthy maternal behavior during pregnancy. Contraceptive methods have a range of benefits other than their primary purpose of pregnancy prevention. It also reduces pregnancy-related morbidity and mortality, reduces the risk of developing certain reproductive cancers, especially for women, and can be used to treat many menstrual-related systems and disorders. It can also be, through the use of contraception, services is being conducted to treat diseases and conditions such as HIV and cervical cancers. Next, through the use of contraception, unwanted pregnancies being prevented. There are many reasons of unwanted pregnancies in the Philippines. First, teenage pregnancies, or maybe the couples are not yet ready to build their own family. Second, one of them may have a disability, especially the women, and is not capable of being impregnated because it will be a danger for both of them, the baby and the mother. Third is, we all know that in the Philippines, there are rampant cases of domestic violence. And through the use of contraception, we are preventing the unwanted pregnancies to protect especially the women. The law that supports the use of contraceptives in the Philippines. Republic Act Number 10354, or known as the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health. What are the guiding principles of the RA 10354? Respect for protection and fulfillment of reproductive health and rights, which seek to promote the rights and welfare of every person, particularly couple and adults. The state shall respect individuals' preferences and choice of family planning, methods that are in accordance with their religious conviction and cultural beliefs, taking into consideration the state's obligation under the various human rights instruments. This law supports the gender equality and women empowerment and control elements of reproductive health and population and development. Also, this law supports reproductive health program for persons with disabilities. There are people with disabilities who are not capable of being impregnated because their life will be put into danger, and through this law they are being protected. Next is, society should respect on how you build your own kind of family. There are special provisions of this law that produces responsible parenthood and reproductive health. First, they guide the parents to be a responsible parent through family planning. Next is, there will be free health benefit for services and life-threatening reproductive health conditions such as HIV. The church is against in this law because they think that this law is against God. The church prefers the natural planning, family planning, rather than this contraception. Application of ethical theories. Natural law contradict what is stated in the Threefolds of Aquinas, which is the propagation of species. Thomas Aquinas believed that God led us to be preloaded in order to know what is good, whereby life is sustained and everything functions smoothly. Through the use of contraception, it is contradicting the propagation of life. Next one is conducting one sin in the seven deadly sin, which is lust. People used to do sex because they are in love, but nowadays, many of us are doing it because we feel lust toward a certain person. So it is saddening that people are only doing it just to satisfy their needs.